Erik Ten Hag is being exposed for the fraud he is. Talksport put out a little descriptive video about all the failures and setbacks that Ten Hag has gone through. Yes, he has won the Carabao Cup that no one really cares about. It's an energy drink club that most clubs that do care about it are the smaller clubs like Derby County. When they bring in Man United, they fill up the stadium, they get nice little financial money for that and financial help, and nobody else genuinely cares. That's why you see many clubs put out their second team most of the time, and the young players, they get an opportunity because it's not really to be taken seriously. If you win the Carabao Cup and you get relegated, nobody's gonna care. They're gonna talk about you being relegated, not because you won a trophy. Now, Erik Ten Hag as well, with the signings that were made prior with Sancho, who tore up the Bundesliga, hasn't been able to break through the squad and really been successful. Anthony, 95 million that Erik Ten Hag bought, since he worked with him at Ajax, thought he could adapt and become a really good player. Hasn't done much. If you combine Sancho and Anthony's stats real quick, look at this. Compared to Arsenal's record-breaking at one point, not anymore, it's Declan Rice, but let's say the second most expensive player was called the flop. Nobody wants to buy him, right? Right now he doesn't even trade with the squad. Arsenal are desperate to get rid of him. Everybody calls him a flop. They clown on Arsenal for spending 72 million on him. But here we have two players that are over 160 million, or more than double than what Pepe is. 20 goals, 9 assists, but Pepe less games, 27 goals, 21 assists. But there's no energy on that. There's more disrespect towards Pepe than Sancho and Anthony. You know what I'm saying? And these two players are very high-priced wingers who struggle to get on the squad. You got Sancho being benched by Garnacho. One of the few good Man United businesses was bringing him in from Atletico Madrid when he was young. And then you look at Anthony, 95 million. He's not playing like a 95 million player. You'd think this guy came in for 20 million or on a free. This man has been absolutely a flop. One of the worst flops I've ever seen in the history of the Premier League is Anthony. 95 million for the lad. Wow. Then, ruined Maguire's Man United career. I don't think it was ruined by Ten Hag. I feel like Maguire had already ruined it himself prior. 80 million pound, another one of the worst flops we've ever seen in Premier League history. I don't blame, I'm over here hating on Ten Hag, and I'm not one of Ten Hag's biggest fans, but the Maguire thing's not on him. I believe that was more on Maguire himself and the pressure on the media and all his mistakes. But there was a desperate buy at the time. Man United had no center backs. Maguire, City was there trying to bid as well. So they had to outbid City, and they had to break the transfer record because he's English as well. So it was a lot of factors in for that. But it just didn't work out. A lot of pressure on someone who couldn't handle it. Then disrespected David De Gea. I do believe he was disrespected, but it was a lot better than the way he did it with Ronaldo, which I'm going to get into a little bit. But De Gea, he was given the season, and now he's a free agent. You know what I'm saying? They didn't extend his contract. He brought in a different goalkeeper that fits his style. So he did disrespect him because, De Gea wanted to finish his career off at United. But he brings in his own goalkeeper. At the end of the day, if David De Gea kept on making mistakes like he did last season, it's going to cost Ten Hag his job. So might as well die on your own sword than, do what everyone else thinks is correct for De Gea. So he's, playing with his job. I understand him bringing in Onana. Do I think Onana is a better? I believe they both have certain aspects that are better than each other. David De Gea is a better shot stopper, and Onana's better on the feet. That's simple fact right there. Can't create an effective midfield. I believe the midfield he brought in was absolutely horrid. It's very unbalanced. You have two attacking midfielders that play the same position. You're trying to fight out if either of them could play center mid at the number 8 position and next to Casemiro. It's not gonna happen. You're either gonna play Mason Mount or Bruno Fernandes. It was the same thing with Van der Beek. He was an attack. He played the same position as Bruno, and he wasn't gonna bench Pogba because Pogba could actually drop down and had some defensive attributes. A lot more than Van der Beek. And it's the same thing with Mason Mount. You're expecting Mason Mount to be the number 8 or Bruno Fernandes, two lads who are creative midfielders. You can't do that, especially with the formation he's running. You're literally letting Casemiro die in the midfield himself. And then Mason Mount it was a bad buy, obviously. Now, if you look at the players that Ten Hag has brought to this Man United squad, it's so far pretty dreadful if you really look at it. Okay, Malacia here is a young player. It's still a bit early, but Luke Shaw is still there. He's still the starter. It seemed like he wanted to get rid of Luke Shaw, but Luke Shaw has still not lost his position to Malacia. You can't really say Luke Shaw's been absolutely world class. He's been decent, but not world class. Malacia still hasn't been that young player that could come in and challenge for the position. Then you look at Christian Eriksen, sorry. Free transfer. He's, done good enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a free agent, it's very hard to really let down, It's not like he was a 50 million pound player and he's an absolute letdown like others. He's actually came in and he did decent for them when his name was called, and I think that was a decent transfer from him. Lisandro Martinez, 57 million. Timber went for about 50 million. I believe he's the better defender. Lisandro Martinez is very error prone. He gets saved a lot by mistakes from officials. But I believe he's eventually going to get exposed this season. I believe by the end of the year, Lisandro Martinez will lose his position. Now, Casemiro, 70 million. He will be good he was good last year. He's going to be good this year, possibly the next year. But after that, there's going to be a fall off for sure. And they don't really have an answer at the moment. He's literally being left to die. They could really cut his prime short with the amount of work they're going to put on him by adding 2 attacking midfielders in front of him. Then Anthony, historically bad signing, 95 million. When you see all these other wingers going in, like Martinelli, 7 million. Where's the talent ID by Ten Hag? 7 million for Martinelli, Anthony for 95 million. Who's the better player? Tell me, who is the better player? Now, 2 goalkeepers that didn't really make a difference. Wout Weghorst, who was supposed to be the Ronaldo replacement. You can't really say much from that. The lad came in, scored in the Europa League, and, he didn't do much from there. He was kind of a waste. They kind of thought he was just because they put Wout Weghorst against relegation sides, and he did decent, as a number 10. They thought he was the next, we had the next Albert Einstein over here at United. No. Sabitzer, he came in, really nothing happened because of him. He just came in as a loan. They didn't keep him. He's a lot better fit than, Mason Mount. Mason Mount, 64 million, has been dreadful these 2 matches. He's out for the Nottingham Forest game, and you have Man United fans celebrating. That's how bad of a signing he's been, because you're playing him out of position. You're asking him to do something that you weren't asking Van der Beek to do, who you had in the squad already, who you worked with beforehand. So how are you going to expect 2 similar players to play you're going to say one no to Van der Beek, right? Because he's not good defensively. But you're going to bring in Mason Mount, who has the same, defects in his game. Absolutely dreadful decision-making. Johnny Evans, have no idea how he has a contract at Man United. I have no idea. What service is he going to do? Andre Onana. It's too early. It's too early. We'll see what happens with him. And then Højlund, he hasn't really signed. He just signed. He hasn't played. You can't really say, but 9 goals, 75 million, that's pretty dreadful business right there. But we're going to compare the squads right here with Ten Hag to see his talent ID. This is it before Ten Hag makes a signing. Luke Shaw, Lindelof, Varane, Dalot, De Gea, Matic, Pogba, Bruno Fernandes, Rashford, Ronaldo, Sancho, right? This is the squad before Ten Hag took over and made a signing, right? How much better does it get with the money, 400 million spent, right? How much better did it get? Anthony or Sancho? I'm taking Sancho all day. He tore up the Bundesliga. Anthony, what did he do, mate? What did he do? What did he genuinely do to be 95 million? Jeez, Ajax, man. Ajax have really scammed United. Not once, but twice, mate. With Anthony and Lisandro Martinez. Højlund. You're going to tell me he's better than Ronaldo? Don't care, mate. 9 goals. 9 goals at 20 years old. He had Ronaldo at 35 years old dominating Serie A, winning the Golden Boot. You know what I'm saying? And then Rashford, he was there beforehand. Mason Mount or Pogba? Mason Mount or Pogba, mate? Come on. Casemiro or Matic? We're going to give it to Casemiro. Bruno Fernandes is still there. Luke Shaw, same player, right? Lisandro Martinez or Lindelof? I think that's very debatable, and I think Lindelof or, maybe they bring in a center back. Somebody's going to beat Lisandro Martinez for that position. There's a reason why Ten Hag is very, very desperate to keep Lindelof, because Lisandro Martinez might not work out. In my opinion, he's a left back. He's an aggressive left back. If he makes his mistake at left back, the center back could help him out. But, the lad right now is tied for most goals at Man United, and he hasn't scored for his team. He scored against. And then Varane and Dalla, Onana or De Gea, obviously it's kind of split in my opinion. One's a better shot stopper, the other one's better on their feet. But they're both prone to mistakes, so I don't think there's much of an upgrade or downgrade. All you can say is Onana's younger, but the squad hasn't improved drastically. You know what I'm saying? The only thing you could really say that he's done is like bring in Casemiro. That's really the only upgrade I see. And the talent ID is not there. You know what I'm saying? I can't really understand here. Like Ten Hag, in my opinion, if he doesn't get top 4, he's still going to have a job. If he doesn't get out of the group stage of the Champions League, he's still going to have a job. If he doesn't win the FA Cup, he's still going to have a job. He let Man United, right? The biggest team in Manchester, right? I think we could all agree, in history. He let little brother, Man City, win the treble. Imagine if Mikel Arteta let Tottenham Hotspur win a trophy for Tottenham, right? If Tottenham... Oh, shit. I don't see much an upgrade here, but look. Imagine Ten Hag let little brother, Man City, right, win the treble, right? And Sir Alex Ferguson said, as long as he's alive, Man City will never be bigger than United, which is true. If you look historically speaking, Man United far better than Man City, but he let Man City win the treble in his era. In the Ten Hag era, Man City won the treble. They equaled the greatest ever achievement that Man United ever had, was that treble winning, United. That was it, right? 1999. But then Ten Hag has an FA Cup final, right? He could stop this. He could stop the treble. Loses in the FA Cup. Now imagine this scenario. Arsenal and Tottenham, right? Tottenham is about to win a trophy in the FA Cup, and that's the FA Cup final. And imagine if Mikel Arteta allowed Tottenham to win a trophy. My mans would get the boot. He would get so much hate. It would be undeniable, with 400 million being spent as well. Mate, he would be gone for just winning a trophy. Let alone imagine if, invincible, if my man's not going to be able to leave London, He's never getting a job if he'd let Tottenham go invincible. Evening Arsenal's greatest achievement ever. That is going invincible, right? My man Arteta would not be able to leave the city without being attacked by the fans, in my eyes. You know what I'm saying? And Ten Hag is out here still managing, still being backed by the club. How is this man one of the greatest managers to many people in the Premier League? In my eyes. He's lost a lot of credibility. He shouldn't have the job. And I understand, Man United came a long way. He's got a lot of deadwood out. What deadwood? I still see McTominay. I still see Harry Maguire. He hasn't got rid of the deadwood. There's many deadwood there. And he's even brought more with Anthony, 95 million. He overpriced deadwood, mate. He worked with Anthony prior. Knew all about him. Everything. And he still brought him to the club for 95 million, mate. Whew. How has that happened? The talent ID is horrible. 9 goals a season for this lad. Last year, 9 goals a season. 75 million for a striker. You bring in Mason Mount for 65 million when Kovacic would have been a way better fit. Goes to your rivals who just won the treble for half the price. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that he's gotten so much credit for so poor and so little, done at Man United. He won a Carabao Cup. They said that was going to be the start. But then, the treble-winning Man City happened. It happened under his nose. He had the chance to shut it all down in the FA Cup final and lost. That's disgusting, disgraceful, shameful, but the lad is walking around Man United as if he just won the Champions League. No. The only thing he did was watch on his couch and saw Pep Guardiola, even Sir Alex Ferguson's greatest achievement. Disgraceful. And the fact that United fans still back him just shows how much the mighty have fallen.